Okay, so this is lesson 3.7, the group. And hopefully at this point, everybody has had a chance to do this on your own and you're just coming to check your answers and ask and get some help on specific questions. So we have here, it says, now we turn our attention to studying the effects of alcohol. Blood alcohol concentration is a percentage of alcohol in the bloodstream. The legal limit for operating a motor vehicle is 0.08. This means that 0.08% of a person's blood can be alcohol. And then we have this chart. This is borrowed from WebMD. It's just talking about if your blood alcohol is this number, these are some effects that you might have. So question 1, just note this is, I made a typo here. This is not right. What I have here in blue is correct. So it says, after being arrested for driving under the influence, a well-known starlet was found to have 3.5 times the legal limit of alcohol in her blood. What was her blood alcohol concentration? Well, we know that legal limit is 0.08% and it's 3.5 times that. So 3.5 times 0.08% is 0.28%. So what does this mean? It means that 28% of her blood is alcohol. Okay. So the next question is going to ask us to refer to describe some of the effects that the arresting officer may have been able to observe at the time of the arrest. Well, 0.28% is in the 20% range. It's probably closer to 0.30, but we're going to go with this. It means that she might have some trouble walking, double vision, nausea, vomiting. So that's what I wrote here. She might have some of the stuff from over here, right, too, but we're just going to go with that because it's the 20%. All right, so next question. John Q. Bonehead decides it would be a good idea to drive when he shouldn't. Fortunately, he gets pulled over before anything tragic happens, and a blood alcohol test finds a level of 0.16 at 2 a.m. Unlike most other drugs, studies have shown that alcohol leaves the bloodstream at a constant rate. The table shows the blood alcohol every hour after his arrest. So hours after 2 a.m. So this 0 really means 2 a.m. The 1 really means 3 a.m. This means 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and 6 a.m. And according to those, this is his time, his blood alcohol level. So what's the slope? You could pick whatever 2 points you want. I picked the first 2 points and subtracted them. So I picked 0, 0.16 and 1, 0.145. When you subtract them, you're going to get a negative number. So negative 0.015 over 1. And this means that his blood alcohol content has decreases by 0.015 every hour. So every hour, the blood alcohol is going to decrease by 0.015%. Okay, what's the y-intercept? The y-intercept, remember, x is always 0. So this first one is my y-intercept, and it means that at 2 a.m., his blood alcohol content was 0.16. Okay, so we now know the slope. We know the y-intercept. That means that we can write an equation. Remember, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to replace m with my slope and my b with my y-intercept that we found from question 4 and 5. Okay. Question number 7, when using the equation to model a situation, it's important to recall what specific information the equation provides. Restate your answer to question 6 in the form of a statement like this. If x represents hours after 2 a.m., then y equals negative 0.15x plus 0.16 represents the blood alcohol content that many hours after 2 a.m. Okay. Question 8, don't worry about skip it because we have the graph. We don't use graphing calculators, so don't worry about it. Okay, question 9, what would his alcohol concentration be at 3:30? Well, how many hours after 2 a.m. is this? Because remember, it's going after 2 a.m. That's an hour and a half, which is why in this here, I only plugged in 1.5 into my equation. Remember, we're figuring it out in relation to 2 a.m. So that's why it's 1.5. And when you plug it in, then you get this for an answer. Okay, how many hours would it take for his blood alcohol content to drop below the legal driving limit? So I want 0.08 to be my max. So I'm going to take my equation that we came up with, and that needs to be less than 0.08. Go ahead and solve. So I subtracted 0.16, and then you're going to divide that answer by negative 0.015, which gives me 5.3. Now I just want to note, you hear how I divided by a negative? Remember, going back to the inequality topic, that when you divide by a negative, you have to switch the direction of the inequality symbol. So this less than symbol turned to a greater than symbol. And it means that he would need about 5 1/3 hours to pass in order to be safe to drive. Okay, what information would you need to draw the graph of this equation? Well, you need 2 points. So any 2 points. And we know those 2 points because we know the slope and we know the y-intercept. And I know you might say, well, slope isn't a point, but we can use it to find the next point, because if we know the y-intercept, if I put a dot here, remember slope is rise over run. So we can go up and over. But notice in this case, the slope is negative. So we're not really going to be going up. What are we going to be doing to do the slope? We're going to be going down. So if this was my y-intercept, I would go down, and we always go to the right. Okay? So let's graph this. Now I know my slope. I know my y-intercept. I know we're going to plot my y-intercept first at 0.16. Notice that I counted by 0.02 going up, and hours after 2 a.m. is counting by ones. So if it's going down by 0.015, my next dot is going to be about right here, okay? And then keep going and keep going and keep going. The other things you could use are, so I said here, so 0.145 is the next one at 2 is going to be 0.13. I just kept subtracting negative 0.015. All right. What is the x-intercept? Well, we can't really see the x-intercept in the graph, but if I was going to keep extending it, it would probably be about here. So it would probably be around 10. And that's just an example. And that would mean that it would take about 10.5 hours to have 0 blood alcohol content. Okay, so looking here, so it says sketch an example of a line with a positive slope. It goes up. If it has a negative slope, it's going to go down. And if it has a slope of 0, it's going to look like this, going horizontally. All right, and that is the end of lesson 3-7. Make sure that you do your homework. It's some applications from the textbook, and make sure you submit those by Monday at 9:30 a.m. because remember, the answers are posting. And please let me know if you have any questions.